Welcome to All Things Metaphysical Podcast. This is episode 25. I'm Gail.
I'm Kellie.
For Kellie and I, we have both had really interesting last couple of weeks. For myself, I have been having a major problem with appliances and plumbing. It's a good thing I'm working from home because I live in a building on the 9th floor and ran out for an errand this morning and came home to a leak. So they're very lucky that I discovered it.
Yeah,
Just lots of stuff going on.
yeah. I've had um, outside plumbing issues. The water pipe broke, and first person that came out to fix it didn't fix it, never came back. So I figured it out myself, and I took care of it. But it's just been weird, it's the water issues.
So we were talking about that, and we were talking on like an energetic and metaphysical level that water means emotions.
Yep.
And luckily for me, it was just little trickles of water. So I'm guessing I'm not really struggling.
Yeah, with my pipe being froze, of course there was a geyser, it thawed out. But it's I'm pretty in touch with my emotions, so I don't think I had anything bottled up. Certainly not when I'm next to the guy who was supposed to fix my pipe. There will be nothing bottled up, I assure you. But it is interesting, particularly around the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
I find that timing, at least for you, very interesting.
And today is the full moon.
Yep.
Well, I think the guy who came to fix the issue from the fridge from the weekend put down all this ice down my disposal and then insisted on running the disposal to say that it was really good to sharpen the blades. But he put like 4 cups of ice down it. My guess is he froze the pipe and cracked it.
Or at least loosened something. Yeah. Yeah. Because I know anytime you have any kind of connection and you have ice in it, I know from running cables a long time ago, it would loosen those connections. So that's probably what happened.
Yeah, because I didn't have a leak before he was here yesterday. Anyway, so we have a couple people watching us live because we are an hour later than we normally are because I had to wait for the plumbers to leave. And if you're watching us and you have questions, please put it in the comments section and we will do our best to answer them if there's more than one question. And just maybe we could talk about emotions and what that means. As I've talked about on the podcast before, I spent 30 years being a therapist, and right now I'm running a group again and being a therapist. So maybe it's their emotions that backed up in my plumbing since it's right where I sit to kind of do my groups. But
Yeah.
kind of interesting when you think about it. So I've been redoing some counseling for the last 4 weeks. So it's just interesting.
It is interesting. I think a lot of the thing, what affects me more is the full moon and dealing with anything around the full moon. I'm just, don't even talk to me during a full moon most of the time.
And here we are doing a podcast.
But it normally makes me more sensitive, and I tend to overthink. And I would come up with things like, well, maybe this happened because the other day when I was talking to, and I totally go down that rabbit hole. It's just never a good thing. Don't do that. But I do. And you kind of do the same thing. And it's funny how we are. And I amuse myself a lot. I'm like, well, what was I doing thinking that? But yeah, the full moon for me is intense. This one in particular, because of the conjunction between Mars and Venus, that's just huge for me on a number of levels. So,
does being born on a full moon or a new moon mean anything? I was born on a new moon is one of the questions that we have from one of our viewers.
I'm sure it does. Honestly, I don't do anything with astrology, so I couldn't tell you. Um, I am absolutely positive. You should look that up because I'm absolutely positive it does. Um, I know. Isn't there a moon in an astrological chart? You have a moon reading and a
Have
sun
lots of
reading.
moons and suns
Yeah.
and planets. And I have a friend who does Vedic, because I think I've told this story before. I have a friend who does Vedic astrology, and she finds it fascinating because she'll say, well, when do you think this is going to happen? And I'll just say a random date. And she's like, how do you know that? And then every time she starts telling me this planet is in this house, my spirit team just starts singing The Age of Aquarius. So that's all I hear. I don't hear anything else she's saying. I just hear the song over and over again until she's done talking,
Yeah.
which I always find amusing. She doesn't find it as amusing when I said, I haven't heard a single word you said. My spirit team's very vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah, sun signs, moon signs, rising signs, they all mean something. I am probably not the best one to explain it. For
I'm not.
me, astrology is a lot like tarot cards. I don't care how many times you explain it to me, it just doesn't compute. It's not my main focus of how I
Yeah.
deal with things. But so I had a healing. This is funny. I had a healing. I did some energy work with someone and I had a healing. And then my friend who does the Vedic astrology called right afterwards. And I'm like, okay, so can you explain this to me? Because all of these dates mean something and it forms this semicircle and everything moves around this way. And I drew it out and sent it to her. How do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. They just keep showing me this moves here, then this moves here, then this moves here. It's on different dimensions, different levels, different realities.
You have an entirely different method of finding that information. And it's fascinating because I kind of do the same thing.
Uh-huh.
And I've had friends who do astrology, and they're like, but but you don't do astrology. And no, I don't, but I still get the information. It's just I don't have to go through the planets to get it. You
Yeah.
know, I have like a direct line.
I know it's so much. She gets so mad. Like, wait, I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
I gotta see why that is that way.
It's frustrating when somebody has studied for years in many cases, and then someone else comes along that doesn't get it at all and goes, oh yeah, well you see this is what's happening. Yeah.
And then
It's
I explained all the portals to her that are happening this year. Every time we go to 222 and 2222. And then there's a little shift of energy around the 12th of every month because that's another two. And she's like, just stop talking.
Mhm.
So one of our viewers asked if we could possibly tell her what chakra might be out of line. Are you okay if we do that, Kelly? I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. What I got when I saw the question pop up was your root chakra and the second chakra. That's immediately what popped into my head. Most of us right now are dealing with some kind of a chakra issue, no matter, whatever it is. A lot of people right now are having trouble with their power center, which, is literally your seat of power is the center of your body. But in your case, I think you need to ground more, focus on grounding, focus on safety and security, and then allow that to expand into creativity.
And the reason that for myself, I've just chose not to mention people's names in comments just because we don't know who's watching the show, and we don't know if it's anyone or anything like that. So we've just kind of decided that we can see all your questions and we can see your names. We just choose not to say the name. But you were the only one who asked the question about chakra.
Yeah.
So that made it easy. I agree with you. I think the power one is a little off too. And my spirit team gave me a really cool way to think about it. They gave me a lecture on primary colors.
Cool.
Have I ever explained? Well, I think it's in my first book. I talked about it. So red and yellow make what? Orange, right?
Right.
So you're being grounded in your root chakra and being fully in your power chakra. Red and yellow make orange. So if you're not balanced in those two, you can't be who you are in the world.
Right.
And then the same with your power chakra and your throat, right? Light blue is your throat, yellow is your power chakra. What do blue and yellow make?
Green.
Green. So if you're not balanced in those two, your heart will be closed down. So it's really cool when you start playing with the different color combinations as to what's blocked and what's not blocked, how to unblock it, what colors do you need to unblock it. So there's my little brief soapbox moment.
One thing that just popped into my head that will help you is if you do the trick of imagining roots coming out the bottom of your feet and anchoring you to the core of the planet, that will help keep you grounded. And if you set your intention that when you're not grounded, you are still connected, that will really help you.
Yes.
Like most of us.
We both like to bounce like Tigger. So yeah, my cords are screwed into the center of the earth, but I have some leeway because I don't always like to fully be on the earth.
Yeah, they're about 100 miles. That's just somebody can reel you back in. You know?
No, usually it's funny though, when I used to fly a lot, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of leeway because my cords are still in the earth. I always thought that was so funny because I could still see them in the earth. I'm like, how is this going to affect the flight?
Yeah.
But never did. So thank God. So we have quite a few people watching us right now. So if you guys have questions, please put them in the comments section and we will answer them. And I just think that one of the things that needs to happen. Oh, I forgot to put our banner on so you can see that it says Gail, no nonsense intuitive. And yours says me.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I am me.
You are there. That makes it a little bit more uniform. See, this is how not grounded I was before the show. Didn't even notice that.
It's been an eventful day, though, so it's okay.
Yes. So where were we? We were talking about the other thing we thought would be interesting to talk about was the law of attraction. Wait, we have another question. What was the dream I had last Thursday all about? Was Aubrey coming to me to prepare me for Saturday morning? I think I would need a few more details about the dream to answer that question. Happy to answer it, but if you could just give us a few more details, maybe who Aubrey is, and maybe what Saturday morning might be. We don't have to read that to everybody, but it might help us answer the question. But yes, the dream you had does feel like it was kind of a premonition dream.
Yeah.
To kind of prepare you for where you're needing to go and what you're needing to do.
Yep.
So, yeah. Just so interesting. Like, one of my friends pulled card for me last night because I couldn't stay on live while they were doing it. And of course, what card did I get? I think it was Ascension. Why are you laughing?
That's funny. Yes, definitely it was a premonition dream. Yeah.
Yeah. She came to say goodbye.
Yep.
And to let you know that everything was going to be okay.
Yep.
Sometimes people know when they're going to leave, and sometimes they'll visit everyone before they leave, or sometimes they'll visit everyone right after they leave. And most people stay around till their funeral because that's the human part of us. We want to know who showed up.
Who shows up? Yeah.
They always leave like halfway through the funeral, and I start crying.
Yes.
Because I see them leaving, and then I get sad. I'm not sad till that point of the funeral. Did she know? Yes.
Yes. Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Definitely she did.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. we started about the law of attraction. I think the important thing is intentions.
Mhm.
Has she already left? I think she's left. She's going to be back to check on you, but she's checking on somebody else right now.
Mhm. So,
If you ask her to come and visit you, she will come back.
mhm.
Don't try to force it though.
So, yeah.
Yep. And that's intention. Intend for, to reach out to her and ask her to come back. It happens more often than you think that someone on the other side will not want to intrude. It's like a privacy thing.
Mhm.
Generally, if they were a private person in life, they expect that maybe you're private too, and maybe, they don't want to intrude.
Mhm.
But if you invite her back, yeah, she's
She's
a
making her rounds.
social butterfly right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was thinking about the law of attraction, and sometimes, like, the harder you try to attract something, sometimes the further it pushes it away from you.
Yep. That's what you have to set the intention
Mhm.
and see it happening and then let it go.
Mhm.
And that's the hardest thing for people to do because we want to control everything. I can do this, I can do, and that pushes it further away.
Yes,
Uh,
I really wanted to control what time they were coming to fix the plumbing today.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, that's what happens.
so Chelsea, what I would suggest is, it sounds like there's some that she's giving you a lot of messages and things like that. There are people that you can reach out to. I don't think she's confused. I think she knows what's happened. I think that she's just adjusting to everything. Like I used to call it going to the hospital on the other side when you crossed over. My friend said, it's not really a hospital. I'm like, well, to me it is because I come from a background of hospital,
Right.
working in hospitals. It's more like respite care. There's people with you for the first, let's say, 2 days in Earth time that you cross over, helping you learn everything you need to learn. You do your life review, you do a bunch of other things. And so I think she's just in this kind of in between state right now.
Yeah,
And that's kind of normal.
yeah.
I don't get the sense she's confused from what I'm feeling.
Don't try and read into messages that she's giving you. She may say something that to you sounds like she doesn't know what she's talking about. She does. Things are very different where she's at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful that you don't misconstrue some message she gives you.
Yeah, well, everyone, depending on what your belief system is, everyone has a team of transport angels. So no one actually transitions ever alone. There
Mhm.
might not be somebody who's physically present, but there's always people. And she was greeted by many people from the other side that she was really looking forward to see and that she'd actually started to talk to before she took her last breath.
Yep.
So just know that she's okay and that she's doing what she needs to do to adjust. And I think that maybe it's looking at the issues or how difficult this is for you. And she's trying to comfort you, which I think is making it a little harder for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think that that can happen a lot too, especially when you're sensitive and you have gifts and you have abilities. People do come, and then when they leave again, it's really difficult. And then it's us who oftentimes has that harder time adjusting. They're adjusting fine. It's our human emotions
Right.
and our mindset that gets in the way of us being able to adjust to the transitions.
Yep.
So I hope that helped. But yeah, just so much going on. And, over the last 2 years, just so many people have transitioned and mediums are becoming a really big thing. And, you know, um, to the viewer who's, struggling right now, I would just say give yourself some time. This is still all really new. You're still in shock. Your body needs time to adjust to it. In about a week, everything will make a little bit more sense to you. It's not going to be any easier, but it will make a little bit more sense to you. So just have some compassion with yourself right now as you go through this, and everything will become clear. It reminds me of my favorite quote by Soren Kierkegaard, because I was almost a philosophy minor. Um, Life must be lived forwards and only understood backwards. Or it's something really similar to that. And it's so true. It's like life gives us the test first and then we learn the lesson.
Yep.
So it's like you never really know what you're studying for, or what you're trying to do. You just have to kind of go with it, and then everything will make sense when you look back in hindsight. So,
Usually.
you okay?
Yesterday it was 76 here.
Mm-hmm.
Today it's 48 and snowing. And I was outside fixing a broken pipe, and
Yeah, it was 52 here today, and it's going to be, I think, 19 tomorrow and snowing.
yeah, it's just anytime the wind changes,
Mm-hmm.
or right now we have what they call cedar fever because the evergreens are pollinating, and if you get too close to the woods, you can see this yellow, cloud, and it's all pollen. And I, was out there in the middle of it, so it's my life. I am pretty much allergic to every plant on the planet. They can't find a single animal I'm allergic to, but every plant I react to. And what do? I have a farm and I grow plants. So it's my life.
It's a choice.
I'm that stubborn that I won't stop. Even though I know what is aggravating my throat, I'm just not going to stop. I'm just going to deal with it and move on.
Okay. That's one way to manage it.
Yeah.
So, viewers, if you guys have any other questions, please put them in the comment section and we will do our best to answer them. So, yeah, we were talking a little bit. I think when people watch this show or watch this one back, they're going to see that we're, in the midst of what everybody else is dealing with. Because I
Yep.
feel like I'm having major moments today where it's like squirrel, squirrel. And I think it's just an energy shift that's going
Yeah.
on right now, too.
Yeah. Well, this full moon is a huge energy shift.
Mm-hmm.
It just by its nature, it is. Even in Native American cultures, this full moon was a big shift because it is going into spring, and so the earth is being reborn. But in a more spiritual context, that means that there is deeper healing happening, so that you are getting rid of the old things that no longer serve you to make room for what is coming in. And anytime that happens, there's a great deal of upheaval. People just can't handle that. It's like, what do you mean things have to change? I don't want it to change. And that's what we do. And we do that to ourselves.
Uh-huh.
And, if we just go along with it, it would be much easier. More than one person in my life has told me that things would be a lot easier for me if I would just go with the flow instead of fighting upstream.
So maybe you can make sense out of, they've just, while you've been talking, they've been giving me numbers and dates and stuff like that. So the next big portal is 2/22/22. It's just interesting because this full moon is the 16th, which is 6 days before the portal. And when you divide 6 by 2, it's 3 and 3, which is the trilogy and things like that. So there's just so much coded
Yeah.
in like the next couple weeks of everything that's going to happen. And like I said, I don't really study those kinds of things, but all of a sudden they're like, we want you to talk about this. Okay.
It's going to be a big upheaval for a lot of people. Not everyone is going to realize what is happening. All of a sudden, there's going to be partnerships that are falling apart, businesses that are going under. All of these big things are going to happen in people's lives. And the general person, the average person, which I don't even know what that means anymore, but they will not understand. Oh, well, this is telling me to grow. This is telling me this is no longer serving me. So I need to make room for the new. Overall, it's a big positive thing. But when you're going through the midst of it, it feels anything but positive. And that's what's happening with a lot of people is, everyone is really stressed right now because they're not tapping into their inner knowledge. They're not understanding. They're not even trying to understand. They're going to, woe is me, I'm a victim mode immediately. And that doesn't help anything.
Well, and I think the other piece, especially going into spring, and no idea why I'm saying this, but I'm just going to say it anyway, is that we're also in the ascension process. And as we're in the ascension process, our vibration, our DNA, everything else is getting elevated as well. So not only is it a rebirth of the planet, it's also kind of a rebirth of humanity right now, too. And I think that that's what a lot of people are tapping into and feeling. I love when I channel during our podcast. It's just so interesting to me.
I think a lot of people, at least people that I've had some kind of contact with in the last couple of days, they're feeling like, woe is me, what is going on? Everything is going wrong. And they're looking to me like, well, yeah, you have a broken pipe. See, everything's going wrong. I'm like, no. That was apparently, I was supposed to learn how to fix my own broken pipes because ultimately that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean it's a problem. That doesn't mean it's a big thing. It is just change.
I think oftentimes when we have a really positive thing happen, there is usually a crash afterwards because so much energy and so much hype and so much adrenaline is released in our system that the only thing to do is crash and relax and regroup. So that's, I mean, pretty normal. I mean, people used to use that example a lot with weddings. Like you plan and plan for months, and then like it's like, why am I depressed after my wedding? It was a beautiful thing. Well, one, it's over, and all the planning, it's all over now. Now what? Now what do you do? Now where do you put your energy and things like that? So a very
I,
beautiful thing.
I laughed at my daughter after her wedding. She called me and she goes, I don't know what's wrong with me. There's nothing left but just life now. Okay.
So did you want to have life or just wedding?
At the wedding, I mean, what's the thing here? But that's kind of what you just said. She was just so let down. She's like, it's over. It was perfect. It's just life now. It's like, all
Well,
right.
we build things up and there's so much anticipation about it and so much adrenaline. It's like you really don't have anywhere else to go. It's like even if you think about caffeine in our body, like when you
Yeah.
drink caffeine, you get that buzz. Well, after 4 or 5 hours, you crash from the caffeine, which is why people then drink it again. So you're on that, you're going like this, which
Yeah.
is normal. It's what happens.
Yep.
You can't sustain those really high levels of energy because it'll short circuit your body.
Well, and a lot of people see that with either a new job or a new relationship. You're excited, and it's just humdrum and something must be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This must not be the right job for me. This isn't the right person. No, it's because you've come off of that emotional high, that excitement of the first. This is new, and
The honeymoon phase.
yeah.
So it's all just so interesting when you start to look at it. when you start to look at things from different perspectives, it's just interesting how you can glean different information or see something different. So our viewer asked if there's a kind of way to find balance so that you're not having having highs and then crashing. And I think it's about just having some kind of energetic practice for yourself.
Yeah.
Whether you
Yeah.
ground every day, learn to let excess energy drain off of you so that you're not carrying it. Empaths also get drained very easily because when you're an empath and you're in a group with lots of people, you feel everything that everyone is going through. And when you leave the event, it's like, what? Oh my God, what happened to me? Why am I so tired?
Yeah. I have a a friend who will watch me in
Mhm.
social gatherings, and she knows me well enough to see my energy drain, and she will say, "Oh, hey, we got to go. Remember that thing?" And she'll drag me out. But I've known her for a very long time, and she knows me very, very well. And I'm often so grateful that she notices, because as an empath, sometimes you don't really realize you're over peopled
Mhm.
until all of a sudden you snap at somebody and you're like, whoa, what was that? Who
Mhm.
was that person in my body? Um, but yeah, especially if you're an empath,
Mhm.
you just have to meditation and grounding. As an empath, you should be grounding yourself 3 or 4 times a day,
Mhm.
just as a matter of practice. That will help you avoid those extreme highs and lows. It will even it out a little. But you also have to set the intention when you're grounding that that will happen. We're back to intentions again. It's it's just, you really have to be clear, especially as an empath, that you are grounding your energy, not energy you've picked up from somewhere else. Sometimes that will add to those highs and lows, is you're feeling somebody else's energy.
Mhm.
So make sure you're feeling your own energy and ground a lot.
You
Like,
know, when I was a therapist, I was so used to being in that energy all the time
mhm,
and being in that constant state of exhaustion that I didn't really think about it. It was just, what it was like for me as an empath. But going back to doing a group now, like, so I do the group on Monday nights. I don't get my energy level back up till about Thursday now.
yeah,
It's just sitting with them for an hour and a half, and it's on Zoom, so they're literally like beaming all their
right,
energy
right.
to me because they're all looking at me as the group leader, and I just like, I just never really noticed while I was so used to doing it for 30 years, and I had never really had a break from it. Now that I've had a break for a while and I've gone back to it, I'm like, how did I function through this? How did I learn to manage all of this and carry all this energy every day?
Yep.
It's just so interesting. Again, life must be lived forward and only understood backwards. I never really saw the impact it was having on me till when I went back to it this time.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's just been really interesting. And
Yep.
yes, walking barefoot can work wonders as well. Hugging a tree or asking a tree to take the excess energy. Anything where you're really working on being grounded and present.
Yep.
So one of our viewers said, "Blessings to you. I'm an empath, and there's no way I could be a therapist. I'd lose it." Well, there are days like so.
Yeah.
When I was a therapist, one of the things that saved me when it's funny because I always lived like 45 minutes from where I worked for most of my career. I had a very long drive home. So, like the first 20 minutes, I would allow myself to think about everything that just went on at work. And I would
Yep.
have this halfway point, some landmark or something. And when I passed it, I forced myself to start thinking about home and my life and things like that. And I never knew why I always had such a long drive because there's no way I could have handled like having a 10-minute drive home after doing that. So, my spirit team helped me out with that by giving me a long drive. And I would talk to people on my way home, and I would, of course, through Bluetooth, not holding my phone. And, and that just really helped me. So,
When I was doing therapy work, my ex, he could tell because I always got home before he did. He could tell what kind of day I'd had by what shoes were left where, right in the door where we would leave
Mhm.
shoes. If my running shoes were gone and the dog was gone, I'd had a bad day. And I would just come home and I would grab the dog and we would run.
Mhm.
And, it was funny that my story I gave myself was, oh, the dog's been home alone all day long. No, it wasn't for the dog. It was for me. It was just for me. But you have to find some kind of coping mechanism when you work in that capacity. It's very, very draining.
Mhm.
So many empaths go into that line of work, and there should be a college curriculum for empaths, what you should not go into.
Well, I think you can go into it and be an empath. You just have to be hyper aware of triggers and having an energetic practice to clear yourself so that you're not carrying everybody's stuff home. And to realize, and I realized it soon into my career that I could help people and I could guide people, but I couldn't fix anybody. It was up to
Right,
them to fix themselves.
right, right.
So,
And when I was working in a city, it
mm,
was a lot easier than working in a more rural area because people in a rural area have so few outlets, and it is a tough existence that
mm,
most of these people live. And I would just hold it together all day long, get in my car and cry all the way home. And, thank God for my dog. Now I have several dogs, but then I had one, and he was just, I would not have made it as long as I did in that profession without a dog. I know I wouldn't have.
well, isn't it interesting? Because we've kind of gone full circle because we're back to talking about how do you balance emotions? How do
Yep.
you find that balance for yourself? How do you manage day to day life? Because I think it is so important.
Well, especially the energy this year has been just wonky, just crazy energy. And we're about to enter into another big shift.
Mhm.
And I think people need coping mechanisms more now than they ever have. So, just find what works for you. For
Mhm.
me, before RA, excuse me, I couldn't run today if I tried because of RA. But back then, that was my coping mechanism.
Mhm.
Now I meditate more or I go for long walks. I walk my horse. I have a rescued horse who cannot be ridden. And the doctor says, I should not be riding. So we go for long walks. And now the horse has taken the place of that dog. But find whatever works for you. Animals are great for empaths.
Mhm.
Animals heal empaths, particularly cats, though a lot of people don't get the whole cat vibe. Um, but even if it's just going for a walk, even if your deal is walking around singing or clapping or whatever it is, find something that resonates with you.
There's nothing inherently healthy or unhealthy. It's our motivation behind doing it and how much of
Right.
it we do. I think as an empath, taking breaks is good. I know that when I worked in the behavioral health hospital, the only time I was ever by myself was when I was in the bathroom. I mean, just because I was in a stall, there were other people in the bathroom too, but it was the time I would reconnect with myself and just go, okay, take a couple breaths, because otherwise I was in an office or I was with patients or I was never alone. So,
Yep.
it's just an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah. So be prepared for what's coming up. What's your coping mechanisms now?
So I think this seems like a good point to end the show for today for the podcast. So we will be back next week. This time actually seemed to be better. We had, more people tuning in. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll just leave it at this time going forward. Anyway, everyone have a great week. Pay attention to the energy that's going on. Pay attention to your own energy and where you're putting it. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.